Happy Wednesday, which is the beginning of the NFL work week to most of us. That's the week that the team begins installing their game plan, working on it, preparing for it. For next week's opponent, the Miami Dolphins, which happen to be 1-3, are taking on the once mighty but now decrepit New England Patriots. We shall see how that game transfolds. But however, we've got our own issues in Miami, and joining me today is Isaiah Smalls, or better known as Claude, who is joining us today. You were at practice. Very heavy day from the standpoint of they lost Jaylen Phillips for the season. Second season-ending injury that Jaylen Phillips suffered. He went into the page. He came back this season 9 months after rehabbing an Achilles injury. Was off to an okay start, relatively slow, but made big plays in critical moments, like a third down deflection against the who did they just play? Oh, Tennessee Titans. A game sealing pretty much sack against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And unfortunately, he suffered a knee injury earlier in the game against the Tennessee Titans. I watched him do the wiggle leg to show the trainers that, hey, I'm okay. I'm going back in. They said, no, we need to see you under the tent, examine you. He might have lasted 45 seconds in that examination room before he shot back out and rushed back to the field. And later in the game, I don't know exactly what happened, but it looks like he ruptured his ACL and is done for the season. Clearly, that's a disappointment for Jaylen Phillips, all his fans, everybody who watched him work. But now, Claude, tell me how this is going to impact the team.
Well, I think from a personality standpoint, like we all know that Jaylen Phillips is just a great guy, always really open with the media, all that stuff. So I think they're going to be missing his presence in the locker room. But, obviously with football, it's next man up mentality, right? So who are the next men up, right? I didn't get a chance to ask McDaniel before I said next man up. I didn't get a chance to ask McDaniel today if they're going out and looking for anybody, because I think they will have to, because there's only 4 healthy edge rushers.
Bro, do you think that there's edge rushers out there right now looking for work in the NFL? Unless they claim somebody off another team's practice squad.
Look, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of murky waters. But as I said, Chop Robinson obviously is a rookie, first-round pick. They have very high hopes for him. Mo Kamara, who I think was a 5th-round pick out of Colorado State, he's been inactive the previous 4 games. He'll definitely be active come Sunday. And then obviously Quinn Bell, who had a very impressive training camp. I talked to him a little bit today, and his message was very simple. It was like, look, like obviously I feel for my brother, right? Because no one wants to see that, but at the same time, I'm ready to do whatever the coach is asking me. And if you look, Pro Football Focus had him rated as the 2nd highest rated defensive player in the Tennessee Titans game. So let's see look, obviously very small sample size. I'd have to go back and look at the snap counts. But I think they'll be probably, if I had to guess, they probably will start Quinton Bell and have Chop rotating in. He's been getting more and more snaps as I believe they've grown or at least been Dolphins are at least more comfortable with him as a run stopper. I mean, whether or not whether or not it's the correct decision, I'm just looking at the snaps. They're giving him more snaps.
Okay, that's more fitting. They're giving him more snaps and run play. Yeah,
that's what I said. I said they're giving more snaps because they believe that he's comfortable stopping the run. Whether or not that's the right decision is not, that's above our pay grade. So maybe it's not above your pay grade.
Here's the thing about Chop Robinson. I'm way more comfortable with him being on the field as a third down pass rusher. I am not comfortable with him being on the field as an edge rusher, as a containment guy. Oh, no. And I'm not saying that Muhammad Kamara is the answer. Hell, I'm not saying that Quinton Bell is the answer. They have struggled at times this season, 4.2 yards per carry. Really, the biggest issue is in the red zone. Teams are able to run for touchdowns. Have given up 7 this season. Teams have rushed for 478 rushing yards. And I will make this bold statement that Chop Robinson is the worst run defender on the entire team. So I don't know how that helps the problem get better.
Yeah, no.
So, I mean, here we are. Here we are. This was your first round pick. You drafted him high. You were convicted about him having an impact on the season because of his ability to get off the ball quickly, ability to disrupt quarterbacks, ability to rush quarterbacks. Unfortunately, we haven't seen any of that, much of that. We've seen a little bit of that this season. But in 4 games, he hasn't made an impact. Does that mean that his career is over or that he's a bust or that he's a dog that doesn't bite? No, it doesn't. But it means that he's going to have a lot of work to do to improve. He'll get that opportunity now. Now, one thing I do want to mention to you is you did not mention the great and good Cameron Goode.
Yes.
Guy got injured last year with a patella tendon injury. He is working his way back, just like Bradley Chubb is. More than likely, we have always looked at October as the realistic date for those two to start practicing. Maybe later in October after the bye, as opposed to before it. It'll be interesting there. So there is help coming, but right now we've got to make it through probably 2 to 3 games with Chop Robinson and Quinton Bell. For those who will remember, Quinton Bell was one of the hottest names early in training camp. Started to cool off during the exhibition season. I think that was partly a byproduct of injury. I'm not saying he's a dynamo or he's going to be some dynamic pass rusher or he's going to be the next Cameron Wake. What I am saying is he's impressed the coaches enough to make the 53-man roster. He went from a practice squad player to an NFL roster guy. Now the question is, can he give you those flashes, those consistent playmaking that he showed you in practice when there were no pads, when the hitting was limited, when the opponent wasn't violent? Can he show up? And these are the moments and the opportunities where an NFL player like a Zach Sealer carves out a name for himself, carves out a role, carves out a job. So best of luck to Quinton Bell. I'm a fan. It'll be interesting to see what he can bring when the actions and the bullets are live. But again, feel sad for Jaylen Phillips.
Of course.
I can't remember which Achilles he tore.
It was his right. It's the same leg.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. And this is a cautionary tale, and I know I'm only speculating but I've been doing this for so long. When you have an injury that is not properly and fully healed, and you're working on it, practicing on it, playing on it, all the other muscles and joints are compensating for that injury. Mm-hmm. And it's putting unnecessary stress on that knee, that joint, that Achilles, that hamstring, which is why you see a lot of times guys who've got a knee issue, like a David Long, suffers a hamstring issue in the same leg. Mm-hmm. Why you see guys who's battling back from an Achilles injury tears his ACL in the same knee. Now, I'm not saying that this is the case in every instance, because the one thing that players will always tell you who are coming back from injuries is, hey, trust the injury, trust the procedure. That helped. That's what Brent Grimes said to me, giving me advice for Jaylen Phillips, because he was coming back from the same injury. However, when you overdo it and push yourself too much and try to come back too soon, these are the things that happen. And that could be a cautionary tale for why Bradley Chubb, who suffered his ACL injury in December, is not on the same program as Jaylen Phillips, is not being rushed, and probably will take his time, whereas we thought it would be October. Well, maybe now it might be November that he's coming back from, because that's the last thing you want, is to see him go through something similar to what Jaylen Phillips did. And on top of that, Bradley Chubb is in a contract year. The Dolphins can skirt away from their portion of the contract because his guaranteed money is up after the season. We will see. So clearly he has to play, has to be impactful to earn his $20 million salary. The last thing you want to see him do is suffer another injury and be set back for another season. So that was saga number 1 that we had to go through. Today happened to be the day that Odell Beckham and Cam Smith returned to the practice field. Now, unfortunately for all of us, it was a walkthrough. However, the Dolphins did have to produce an injury report. And finally, we have confirmation that it is a knee injury with Odell Beckham Jr., who has battled knee injuries throughout his career. I don't know whether this is true. I've heard it's bone on bone, which is not a good thing.
Yeah, that's
right. I'm looking forward to hearing from Odell Beckham and hearing what's going on, hearing what the issue is. Because he's expected to be a vital and pivotal piece of the offense. What is Mike McDaniel saying about his return?
So today we didn't necessarily get much from McDaniel on OBJ. It was because literally the Jaylen Phillips news literally happened maybe like 10 minutes before the press conference. So everyone was asking about Jaylen Phillips, and whether or not, he should have gone back in, all that stuff. But I will say this. I saw OBJ in the locker room. He was sitting there. He was chilling. He was talking to Snoop a little bit. And so, to your point, I think he's, definitely expected to be a very big part of this offense. We'll see tomorrow in practice, how much he can do. But, they said that he would have been a full participant in practice, which I think bodes well to the timeline of whenever he's going to come back. Now, will it be this Sunday? Probably not, right? But maybe maybe in a couple weeks.
Hold on. Time out. Let me give you a little time out.
Go ahead.
Who on this team has more chemistry with Tyler Snoop Huntley than Odell Beckham Jr.?
I mean, that's a great point. Yes, I don't think there is anybody. I don't. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think there is anybody. But then again, I don't. For me, and obviously I'm new at the job, but for me, I with Jaylen Phillips and the way that they've handled that, and then also with OBJ, and then and putting him on the PUP list early, and him not, I guess maybe they knew
they babied him.
They might have known the knee injury when they signed him, but we certainly didn't, right? And so I'm just guessing here. Like, this is no reporting behind that. I'm going to guess that they're going to take a more cautionary approach because, of course, you're right. They need help now.
Hey. When do you need help? You need help right now, right this minute, right this second.
I have to go back to what McDaniel says is that they're not going to rush him back in order for him to play because they quote unquote need him, and then him re-injure whatever it is, whatever need.
How long is he going to be rested? He's been resting since January, rehabbing since January. It's October.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Look. I'm just going off of what McDaniel said. They don't want to rush him back.
So we signed OBJ for November and December?
Hopefully. Yes, exactly. November, December, and maybe January. I don't know if this team's going to get to January. Well, actually, they technically will because the last game is on the 5th. I'm talking about mid to late January.
Yeah. When you look at what they have on the receiving core, which is Braxton Berrios, who at this point probably shouldn't be playing on offense. No offense to all the Braxton Berrios fans. It's like, what are we doing? Mike McDaniel says it's time for some tough conversations. That's one of the tough conversations that we need to have. We need to have a Braxton, you're wasting everybody's time. Then we get to the Malik Washington, who is a rookie out there who wasn't impressive to me personally in training camp, has been battling an injury, is back from the injury. Okay, cool. D. Estridge, in my opinion, is the best receiver that they have that's not named Waddle or Hill. I'm not even going to mention Eric Uzukama because he's battling not turf toe, a foot injury. I forget what specific it is, but it's not one that you immediately heal from, which is why he's safely on the practice squad. They're going to continue to invest in him. So if OBJ can't come in here, and I know he doesn't know the offense, but if he can't come in here and outperform D. Estridge, like, damn, something is wrong. Something is wrong. And I get it. He hasn't practiced. But you know what has always bothered me about Odell Beckham? And I'm looking forward to the opportunity to speak to him. Even though you don't practice, why aren't you watching practice? And that's been something that's been very consistent. And I get it. You're doing your rehab assignments some of the time, but not all of the time. And I have a hard time believing that he's a 10-year veteran. He's going to pick up the offense. He's played in similar offenses. But if you're that laissez-faire, comfortable enough that you know everything and you don't need to watch practice, then you better get out there first week and be killing it and knowing all your assignments. That's all I'm saying. I recently wrote a column in the Miami Herald that this is not the time to panic. I know most Dolphin fans have smashed the panic button, the sound the alarm. We need to tank. What quarterbacks are available? Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. This is where Dolphin fans are because they're quitters. Let's just put it that way. Am I lying? Did I tell a lie?
I don't think you did, but it's an interesting fan base to say the least.
Yes. So they quit on the season at 4 games in. The team has not. The coaches have not. But in the column that I pointed out is, hey, your defense is actually playing good. They're 6th in the NFL. They've been put in some really horrible situations, like the end of the 4th quarter where the Dolphins kept giving them the ball at like the 40-yard line and saying, go ahead, like let be miracle workers. Did the same thing against the Seahawks. But there are things that they can do in order to improve the offense, like simplify it. Let's start there. Yes, you simplified it for Tyler Huntley, but you're still running your motions and your jet sweeps and your things of that nature. And that's probably a little bit complicated. In my opinion, the struggles are accredited to lack of Tua, which I think if you have not figured out or gained a level of respect,
100%.
or put, all those people who said anybody could run this offense, it's not Tua, put some respect on that man's name.
Of course, yeah.
Like,
nice.
Yeah,
for sure.
It ain't everybody can run this offense situation, and
That's
I think the fan base has learned that. Now, will he come back and scramble his egg again? We don't know, but he's proven that he is a very efficient upper echelon quarterback, and this offense is built around him. However, there's things that this organization can do to assist themselves a little bit better. In the column I wrote, Tyreek needs to be playing slot receiver a little bit more. He's done it throughout his career. I'm sorry. There aren't that many. Slot receiver runs option routes. It's nearly impossible to double a slot receiver. And if you're going to put a cornerback and a linebacker on Tyreek, okay, great. Then your boundary, somebody's one-on-one open somewhere.
Yeah, of course.
And let's work on that as opposed to taking Tyreek out there to clean out. We need Tyreek to touch the ball 10 times. There's a reason why Justin Jefferson is still a dominant figure in the NFL, and it's not Sam Darnold. It's because he's a dominant figure, and Tyreek is a dominant player. Definitely want to address Tyreek, so let's talk about his lies a little bit later. But that's a starting point. Obviously, you need Raheem Mostert to come back. That's your best outside zone runner. Your run game has been trash beginning of the season. That's part of the reason why your offense looks like that, because your offense is built on being balanced and play action and keeping teams off balance. But also, Patrick Paul started the game, played for Teron Armstead, who is supposedly coming back. He didn't practice today, but he wouldn't have practiced on Wednesday anyway because Teron is on an old man program. But Patrick Paul, in my mind, and I initially said it wasn't possible, but despite the fact that he's 6'7", 330 pounds, I think you need to give him a try at left guard. And here's the reason why. Laremy Tunsil started his career at left guard, is 2 inches smaller, 10 pounds lighter. And Patrick Paul is not a lumbering, laboring guy. He can actually move. Now, can he turn the corner? Probably not, but he can actually move. So seeing him get that opportunity, yes, he gave up a sack last week. Yes, it wasn't polished, but what else have you seen? What other options do you have? My answer to that question is really none. Yeah. So, and then Odell Beckham. I'm sorry, if his route tree is limited, he got to be out there at least 5 plays. If he can run and catch the ball, it's better than anything else that they've got out there going, because it's just not happening right now.
That's real. That's fair.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think I think they definitely need more help at the receiver position. It's interesting that you said move Patrick Paul to left guard. That's it. I'd want to see it. I would want to try it. I think they preach one of the main tenets that Chris Greer talked about when they draft linemen is that duality in terms of position. So if that's the reason why you draft Patrick Paul, I want to see it.
He's only worked exclusively left tackle. They have approached Kendall Lamb about, hey, Kendall, can you play left guard? Kendall told them no, and they moved on. I'm sure Patrick Paul probably doesn't know if he can play left guard or not. I don't know if he can play left guard, but right now, Rob Jones, who is battling a shoulder injury, his play is steadily declining. And I'm sorry, on that offensive line, you can't have a player whose play is steadily declining. And at this point, we don't know when we're going to get back Isaiah Wynn, if we're going to get back Isaiah Wynn. So you better get on to plan C or figure it out, because right now it's tough sledding for that offensive line. Now, one thing I do want to address is Tyreek Hill, the ever entertaining troll of the internet, who prides himself on trolling people, woke up this morning and tweeted out about trade rumors.
You see his most recent tweet?
No. What was the most recent tweet?
I love trolling you, nut jobs.
Yeah. Today, Tyreek, everybody knows he left the locker room before talking to the media after being on field against the Tennessee Titans. And you could see him fuming. You could see him upset. You could see him yelling behind Mike McDaniel and really in front of Wes Welker. Nobody was really paying attention to him, but he was having a tantrum. I know diva receivers. I speak diva receiver fluently. I have been accused of being the diva. I'm aware of how they act, and I can read lips just a tad. Mm-hmm. And I saw in my mind Tyreek say, "I'm sick of this shit."
Yeah,
and as we all are, Tyreek, and you're not getting the ball. You've got 11 receptions for 217 yards and 1 touchdown, 4 games into the season. Ugh. Yeah, your fantasy fans, they're fuming right now.
What do you mean?
You out here taking L's because Tyreek out here taking L's.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. So Tyreek is frustrated. But then today, Tyreek comes out and he says, "Oh, I wasn't frustrated. I was giving support to 25. He just had a good run. And that's what I like to see." Are you believing Tyreek or not?
I mean, look, like, probably not. Honestly, like, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, and maybe he was very, very, like, let's go, guys. Because at the time, because if I remember correctly, at the time, they weren't necessarily out of it, right? I think that last touchdown kind of took them out of it. They were like, it was if they would have hit,
they needed like 2 scores in like 6 minutes.
They needed 2 scores in 6 minutes. Like, is it possible? Yes. Was it possible for this team? No. But they weren't technically out of it at the time. So yeah. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he was, just trying to galvanize the guys. At the same time, though, I want to rewatch the video, because if he said what you just said, then obviously it was a diva receiver move. And personally, I've been waiting for that blow up, honestly, because we
all knew it was coming.
Yeah, because week 3, I think he and Waddle combined for their least amount of receiving yards since joining, and I think a couple nights ago they did the same thing. So that's back-to-back weeks of you just not matching the production that you had in the previous 2 seasons, right? And so it's going to happen, right? I personally don't understand why they're not more creative with getting this man the ball in a bunch of different ways. And I'm not talking about an end around on 4th and 1. That to me was one of the worst play calling decisions I've ever seen. At the same time, I don't want to question McDaniel's play calling, because he's normally pretty good. This year it's been a little bit, I'm scratching my head. But at the same time, I think your point of moving him to the inside was actually great, because that allows him to do a lot more. I think on the outside, it's very easy to double you, right? inside, you can kind of move around, you can run. The route tree to me is a little bit more verbose, right? And so I would want to see him do that. And so so to answer your question, I'm gonna say not really. I don't really believe him, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for right now that he's, being that he was trying to, galvanize the guys.
Right,
but
yeah, trying to be a leader.
No,
I'm at the point, and Tyreek is a troll. Tyreek has openly admitted he's a troll. He's a social media troll.
It's his Twitter.
Yeah, but last week talking about his therapist and how and Skyler, was throwing the ball great, and I only took passes from Tim Boyle. Like, how much longer is the media gonna make this guy play with us before we call him out and let the world know he's a liar? He's a habitual liar.
That's real.
It's like, so I'm at the point where now I go to Tyreek and I watch a press conference for entertainment, but I know 70% of the things that he says is not factual.
That's right.
And it's just getting to the point where, okay, you had a blow up on the sidelines, as I'm sure a lot of people feel like they can have a blow up on the sidelines. Does it help that you're a receiver and have and I don't even think he has a diva reputation. Tyreek just has a complicated reputation.
Yeah.
But you're the number one weapon in the NFL. You're not getting the ball. You're not involved. Everybody's paying all the attention to you. Are you frustrated? Hell yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's not pretend that you're not. Like, okay, put on a brave face because you're a team captain, you're a spokesman, you're a leader. And Tyreek has done just about everything right on the football field. Mm-hmm. But right now, except for not going after that lateral pass and then dropping a pass. I think he dropped a pass. Did he drop a pass, or is that just Waddle? Anyway, yeah. Let's. So, but should he be doing more? Yes. Should Mike McDaniel be doing more to ensure that they get him the ball? Absolutely. Are they letting teams take Tyreek out of the game? Yes, they are, and that is a shame and a crying shame. And yes, I know Tyreek says getting in Mike McDaniel's ear, crying and complaining about it. It doesn't matter. It's not going to do me any good. Their team knows where he stands. They want to give him the ball. Problem is, why is everybody doing such a poor job of getting him the ball, if that's the case? So, as I said again in my column that I wrote for the Miami Herald, it's time to put Tyreek in slot receiver role and make the best of it. While Tua is out. And I don't think that's too much for him, considering he kind of began his career as a slot receiver in Kansas City. So on that note, do we have any more news?
I think that was it. I think that was, that's it. OBJ,
Kendall Lamb, and Teron Armstead are supposed to be back from the concussion protocol, but they had a walkthrough today.
Fuller.
What did I say?
Lamb.
Kendall Lamb. Damn, I said Kendall Lamb. Yeah, Kendall Lamb's fine. Kendall Fuller and Teron Armstead are back, and it's always funny. I always, 1 week of sitting down. You ready to get back in there? When it's Tua, you need to sit down for a month. Good little month. Like, make sure the head is healed up.
That's right.
But we look the other way when it's everybody else. But when it's Tua and he's got fencing hands and he keeps getting knocked out, we're like, yeah, let's be patient with this. Let's give it a month. But on that note, we will be back Friday for the preview of the New England Patriots game. I will be up there in Boston or Beantown or whatever you want to call it. Look for me on those streets. And on that note, the Dolphins in depth, we are out.
Peace.